You say, buddy? Just chilling in the Mustang? That appears to be the case. Pretty darn cool. 150 days, you're not eating, boy. Maybe 160. Coming up on 6 months, and you're not losing weight. You've lost about an ounce. That's pretty handy. That is a magic trick, if I have ever seen one. And only you could pull it off. I could not. If I did not eat for 6 months, I guarantee you I would probably lose more than an ounce. I guarantee it. I would not look as happy as you do. You look pretty chill, I must admit. Why don't me and you go back inside there, old Cleetus? And maybe, just maybe tomorrow, you'll be interested in a rat. I'm going to unthaw you one of them frozen rats and see if you're interested. You want your lanyard back? All right. I'll try to stay on it. Do your thing. Just fly it around, have some fun, and then I lost it. Trim is really bad, then play with it. Just understand this plane, when you come off power, it goes down. When you add power, it trims up. That's how these behave. Okay. So, and then if you really need trim, I can come in and hold the controller steady. I can give you a little bit of, if it's rolling one way or the other way too much, I can play with that. If it's going up or down way too much, I can play with that. Lower it, lower it, lower it, lower it, lower it, lower it. Try to land it, try to land it. You did.
It did exactly what it did last time. It just takes off like this. Why is it doing that?
Let's see. Let's
take off any. I told you what was going to happen.
Well, no, I thought you meant it was just, I thought you just meant the rudder was a little off pitch.
No. Whatever happened.
It might have survived that, honestly. So let's see. It's a small piece. See, what happened is this lifted off.
Oh, so
these are moving independent of each other. Could be
just
all. Yeah, that could be 90% of your problem. If we can get it, yeah. It's flying. It's flying. Don't get too. You're good. Just relax. Bring back power a little bit, just to calm things down. Try not to wipe out. If you're going to, just yeah, there you go. Then once you've flown it for 5 minutes, yeah, you give it power and you go, and just keep a little resident back pressure, and it'll make it fly by what you see.
If it gets weird,
if it gets real crazy, yeah, here's a lull. I would power it up and get her up in the air and just fly her out there, and then yeah. Full power. Get forward, a little forward, roll forward, forward, stop, and power out, power out. Burned. What did we burn? What was the first battery? Number 2? You're pretty sure of that?
Yeah.
And what battery number was this one?
Don't know.
All right. Whatever one we didn't put in, put in, and then I'll leave those uncharged. If you know what I'm saying, makes sense? Right?
Battery 3.
Okay, number 3. So, and when you get your own airplane and you fly that airplane all the time, or even say 1 or 2 airplanes or 3, you get to know them, and you know exactly where the controls should be. You know what to expect in all conditions, and you really don't make too many mistakes. You know what to double check. It's not going to break on you, stuff like that. All right, got an interesting project here. It is basically just a huge mess right now. Don't know how the GoPro's picking any of this up. There's the Typhoon. I've scavenged. Basically what I'm trying to do, the Zaggy took a crash. It no longer cycles through its power-up sequence. Plus I was using an old AM radio on it, which it was getting interference, which caused the crash in the first place. Probably caused a dozen crashes just like it. So I went out yesterday and bought a DX6E. Not cheap. And there's the receiver. Now, when I brought it home, I couldn't get the receiver to power on, which kind of made sense because the old The old one wasn't either. So I don't know if I had a bad BEC, which is battery eliminator circuit. Might have been on the power controller. Here's the old power controller. It's pretty much a hacked up mess. I stole this power controller, which is not a very big one, but it should work, from this airplane over here, this Typhoon. So I stole it, but I ripped the connector off, being impatient, trying to shove it in this. So now what I've done, I've stripped some wires on here, and I've stolen a plug from here. They're different colors, so I have to try to figure that out. So I'm going to try to solder that all together and then see if I can get power to this receiver, get it to light up. Right now, the goal is just to get that LED on here to light up. Once we do that, we're headed in the right direction. Then I can start wiring things up here with the motor, things like that, and then start to try to learn this and how to bind it and configure it for an Elevon setup, because this is Elevon. There's no elevator. The ailerons function, you know, dynamically as an elevator. So then you have to wire it to single stick, and then your throttle's over on the left. There's the AR620 receiver. You can see the battery connection at the top. Then you have 6 servo connections for everything else. That button in the middle, I guess that's the bind button. The electronics, you can see that in there. This thing only weighs 8 grams, which is pretty cool. Somehow, by a miracle, I got this thing fired up. Now I got to program this. Show you how this bad boy works. I got to program this to, you know, for the sub channels and the Elevons, and even when you program it exactly like the book says, there's no information. You swap some of these servo cables to different ports, trying to get the Elevon mixing right. Once that's done, if that's ever done, then I have to figure out why the motor isn't arming. My original speed controller, which is this one, is the original. I got the ailerons working in the right direction. I don't even know what fixed it. I was doing the same thing I was doing earlier, and now it's working. I had planned on having to switch out those terminals, but I didn't have to. I did resolder the cutoff switch. I put a new connector on there, soldered those. I got the motor going even in reverse polarity like I normally have it. That's getting warm, which is good. This is the Dean's connector I altered coming out of here. Going to the battery. Ailerons, moving that. They're mixed, Elevon mixed. The only thing I can't get now is the motor is not spinning up. And it doesn't matter whether I use that motor or this motor. So got the motor working and the servos working. The Elevons are working in order, not in reverse or half reverse. They're working like they're supposed to. The motor is turning. And it's one of those things, I know what fixed the motor. It was a 2017 video. Once you fire this up, you got to drive the trim tab all the way down. All the way down. And then the ESC armed. This is the old Typhoon ESC. It armed. And this motor being out in the open stays pretty cool, considering she's flying in about 105 degrees. This whole compartment now lifts up. You know, not perfect. This is sort of temporary, but there's all your wiring. Everything is, for the moment, working with the transmitter. We had 3 successful flights today, 5 minutes each, so 15 minutes. One close, real close call, but it pulled out. Tomorrow we're going to do some hand launch testing, and if everything goes well, we can remove the front ballast, lead ballast, and put in a GoPro camera, get you some onboard footage. So thing's flying like a beaut. Yeah. Especially. Whoa, what happened? What happened? What happened? Okay. Add power and get it flying. Fly, fly, fly. Something got weird there.
I think it stalled.
It might have stalled. That's okay. You saved it. Yeah, you're good now. Sweet.
At least there wouldn't have been too much force, but
no,
all that gliding, when I went to turn it, it
It spun?
It just dropped.
But Joey, you saved it twice now.
Yeah.
You saved it over there, and I don't know if that was half luck, but that one
was mostly luck. This one, I guess.
I think that one you kind of flew it, and then you can always get back in the power, but it was smart not to jam power quick.
Otherwise, I would just send it.
Sometimes you just torque right in hard then.
Yeah.
Because now you can't, you can't distinguish between what's happening because you've got power aggravating it. So you got it cleaned up, then you added power. So. Yeah. All right, we're going to try to make the Zaggy into a camera plane, which we've done before. But rather than use the larger form factor GoPro, I am going to, sorry Mr. Session, I'm going to hook you to this airplane. And I hope it goes well because you are my best camera. As far as taking off the lead weight, you got to put about 6 ounces in the front. It depends how far forward you are and such. But you can eyeball it for about 6. This one is 5.8 worth of lead right there. Probably instead of facing it frontwards, unless I can hook it right over the front of the airplane, that might be cool. Or just aim it sideways and then make most of my turns in that direction. I'll play with it. So let's see what this little GoPro weighs. Okay, 3.2. Run the Session and half the lead. That should work. I'll go ahead and try to find a way to get this mounted in here. I already had one of the GoPro mounts in there. We will have to see. It's in there. Try not to laugh too hard. I don't think this will win any aerodynamic awards, being that that is low drag enough. At the speeds we're going to be flying, that this entire goddamn canopy doesn't come off of here. But I don't think it will. I think the old prop will push this through. I'll give it a good spin up to get going. Weight-wise, we're a little over what we were before, but then the drag is going to push it back. This thing is definitely not going to reduce drag. Yep, it's got power, and it's got a card in it, so... Let's hope it stays that way. Tape. And we will see if this bad boy works. Hopefully nobody's at the field. Temps are around 100, slightly below I think today. It's good. However, I'm still going to use tape, but I'm going to put some, I've got some 2-action epoxy there that I'm going to throw in there later. All right. 4-minuter. Everything should be trimmed. We'll give it a try. Good successful test. I'll go ahead and unplug the battery. It flew, and it flew okay. No mishaps. Got a good landing right in front of me, right on the 4-minute mark. Launching it was a little spooky, but it did take off. The massive amount of drag caused not only by the camera, but also these 2 sections of tape for holding it down. So there's just all kind of turbulence and drag on this thing. Had to use a lot more power just to get it to fly, right, and climb. And it did all that, but very slow to control, very slow to climb, but it did do it. So in that regard, very successful.